So after the successful completion of the 13 chapters in second PUC, let me start with the 14th chapter, that is ecosystem structure and functions. So let me define the ecosystem first. Ecosystem means collection of life at a particular area. Collection, even conglomeration. Conglomeration of life at a particular area together its interaction with abiotic components called ecosystem. Collection of life. Life means here the biotic components. Biotic components like producers, consumers, decomposers. So organisms in an ecosystem, they live in the stratification. Different species occupying the different levels called stratification. Say for example trees, shrubs, herbs, grass, this is known as stratification. So collection of life at a particular area together its interaction with abiotic components called ecosystem. So this ecosystem comprises of life means biotic components. Biotic components, producers, consumers and decomposers. Producers are the autotrophs, they prepare their own food as we know very well by utilizing the abiotic components. So the green plants in the presence of sunlight by absorbing the water from the soil and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, they prepare their own food. 6 CO2 plus 12H2O gives C6H12O6 plus 6O2 and 6H2O. Oxygen is released during this process. And here one fascinating thing is they convert inorganic into the organic food. Whereas the decomposers, that is which comes in the last level of the living organisms, decomposers, they convert organic into the inorganic. So that is very important. So the producers and autotrophs, they prepare their own food. As a standing crab, they prepare their own food. This results in the biomass productivity. Biomass rate of biomass production is called productivity. So the producers, they prepare their own food, and thus we can observe GPP, gross primary productivity, can be seen in the plants. So net primary productivity is GPP minus R. R means here the respiration. During the respiration some biomass will be lost. Hence it is GPP minus R equals NPP, net primary productivity. So the biomass is expressed in terms of weight, and whereas the energy in terms of kilocalories, that is weight G minus 2 and the energy kilocalories M minus 2. So that is about the primary productivity, secondary productivity, and the consumers are the heterotrophs. They depend upon other organisms for their food, different organisms for their food. Primary consumers are herbivores, secondary consumers are carnivores, tertiary consumers are top carnivores. So this is they come under the secondary productivity. So one important thing, not asked. So net primary productivity of biosphere is 170 billion tons. This is very important. Net primary productivity of the entire biosphere is 170 billion tons. That is in terms of dry weight. And despite 70% of the biosphere occupied by the oceans, their NPP, net primary productivity, only 55 billion tons. Only 55 billion tons. This is very important. So far not asked. So these are the consumers are the primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Primary consumers are, as I told you, herbivores. They derive their energy or food from the producers. Secondary consumers derive from the primary consumers. Tertiary consumers similarly from the secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. They are also called top carnivores. Herbivores, carnivores, top carnivores. They occupy the different trophic levels in an ecosystem. And the bacteria and then next to this is decomposition. So this is very important for the NEET examination. Different types of decomposition given, and that's a wonderful thing. Decomposition means actually decomposers like bacteria and fungi act upon decaying organic matter, converting them into useful inorganic substances. Whereas the detrivores, the first thing which comes under decomposition, detrivores. Detrivores like earthworm given, not only earthworm, termites, snail. So earthworm, termites, snail. They cut the flower, the fallen flowers and the leaves into small bits. This is known as fragmentation. This kind of fragmentation is because of detrivores, resulting in a product called detritus. And the inorganic salts, the next step is inorganic salts. They water soluble inorganic salts go deep into the earth. That is called leaching process also takes place during this. Whereas some bacterial fungal enzymes, not bacteria and fungi here, this is very important. Bacterial and fungal, these type of questions definitely they will ask you NEET examination. Bacterial and fungal enzymes act upon detritus, converting them into useful inorganic salts. This is known as catabolism because this is enzymal activity. Enzymes are biological catalysts, hence it is catabolism. This results in a dark colored substance called humus. Important thing is, and the production of this is known as humification, and the humus is a colloidal reservoir of nutrients. That is very important. Colloidal reservoir of nutrients, not asked so far. And some microbes act upon this humus, converting it into minerals. This is known as mineralization. These are all the various things which are involved in decomposition. Very important, students. And if the lignin and chitin, hard substances are present, the decomposition will be delayed. If nitrogen and water soluble sugars are present, the decomposition will be very fast. And the plants absorb the light, the incident solar radiation, which is less than 50%, called PAR. Photosynthetically active radiation. Plants capture only 2 to 10% of PAR, photosynthetically active radiation. This is also very important, so far not asked. And here the disorderliness always, but the plants require this energy. So that is, only the green plants have the ability to trap solar energy and converting them same into the food energy or chemical energy. So once again, only the green plants have the ability of trapping solar energy, converting them into the food energy or chemical energy. Transfer of this food energy takes place from the plants, that is T1 producers, to T2, T3, T4, that is primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, with repeated eating and being eaten, known as food chain. Once again, so only the green plants have the ability to trap solar energy, that is capture PAR, photosynthetically active radiation, 2 to 10%. And they have ability to convert this solar energy into the chemical energy or food energy. Transfer of this food energy takes place through the series of organisms from the plants, from the source of plants, with repeated eating and being eaten, known as food chain. There are different types of food chains like GFC, that is grazing food chain. DFC, detrivores, that is a detritus food chain. Detritus food chain is the main channel, conduit, 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 that is channel for energy flow in terrestrial, whereas the grazing food chain, GFC is a conduit, that is the channel of energy flow in aquatic organisms. So green plants have the ability to convert the solar energy into chemical energy. That is thermodynamics first law. Energy neither can be created nor it can be destroyed, only change in the form takes place. And the transfer of this energy takes place from the producers to different levels, that is thermodynamics is second law. At each step, the little energy will be lost in the form of heat, that is the thermodynamics is second law. So all these things are very important. There are two important food chains already discussed about the GFC, which form a conduit for energy flow in case of aquatic organisms, grazing food chain, and detritus food chain. The detritus was already explained, like earthworm, they cut it, the leaves it to the fragments, and detritus is formed, and all those things, they are nothing but the saprophytes. Saprophytes, they grow on dead and decaying organic matter. They depend upon dead and decaying matter. And the fungi and bacteria derive nourishment from the detritus. So they are the very good decomposers. So about this we have covered. And then the food chains. In some ecosystems where we can see the omnivorous organisms, in the textbook it is given sparrow, crow, cockroach. So these are the omnivorous. If the omnivorous organisms appear, say for example sparrow, it eats insects, carnivore, and it also eats the plant products. So thus it is omnivore. Similarly crow, cockroach. If they appear, the food chain becomes highly interconnected. Such highly interconnected complex food chains called food web. And one more very important thing that we come across in this chapter is the graphic representation of trophic populations of a community in a food chain called ecological pyramid. So graphic representation of trophic populations of a community: producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Graphic representation, that is T1, T2, T3, T4. That is called ecological pyramid. There are three types of ecological pyramid. Ecological pyramid of biomass, expressed in terms of kgs, and ecological pyramid of energy in terms of kilocalories, and then ecological pyramid of numbers. So only the ecological pyramid of energy is always upright, whereas the ecological pyramid of biomass in aquatic is inverted, and the ecological pyramid of numbers in parasites inverted. Apart from this, all others have upright. Only the energy, ecological pyramid of energy, this is very, very important. So what happens? The energy actually more in the producers, less in primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Energy, ecological, always upright, it is same. That is very, very important. During the transfer of energy from one trophic level to only 10% will be transferred to the next level. That is called 10% law, proposed by Lindemann. 10% law. This is also very, very, very important for your examinations. And the next thing is succession. So starting from the the primitive plants, which are unstable, later the complex stable plants are formed. This is known as plant succession. Starting from very simple, the unstable plants, then coming to producing the complex but stable community of plants called plant succession. There are two types of successions: primary succession and secondary succession. In case of primary succession, the area not previously occupied by any organisms, that is primary succession. In secondary succession, previously occupied by organisms. Say for example, cutting up of the forest, and again the succession takes place. That is called secondary succession. Previously occupied by organisms. That is called secondary succession. Secondary succession always faster than the primary succession. So there are two types of successions: hydroseed and xeroseed. Hydroseed. That is the succession which takes place in water. Number one is phytoplankton. That means small plants which float on water called phytoplankton, and the submerged plants. submerged plants, second level, and submerged as well as floating plants in the third. That is first phytoplankton we can see, and when they die they settle at the bottom, and some more organic substances added because of decomposition also, and then water level comes down. Then if the water level comes down, the next will be occupied by the submerged plant like Cara, Vallisneria, etc. And when they die they settle at the bottom again. The next thing is the next level, submerged plants as well as floating plants. Floating plants like Eichhornia, Pistia, etc. That is the third level. Then the water level still comes down. Next is reed swamp stage. Reed means flute-like, hollow stems having reed swamp stage. Water level almost all will be decreased, and next to reed swamp stage is sedgemeadows stage in the corners, and then scrub stage. So this is about the hydrocene. And coming to the xerosphere here, the pioneers of it takes place on the soil, xerosphere. So the primary, the pioneers of soil formation are the lichens. Lichens comes the first to appear on the barren rock, previously not occupied by any organisms. That is, hence they are called pioneers of soil formation. With lichenic acids and as they have resins, they break the parent rock, resulting in the formation of little soil, and thus they are the pioneers of soil formation. Next, when they die, a little soil will appear. Next comes masses of Polytrichium, Funaria, Bryophytes masses. When they die, and here the rhizoids also break the rock, parent rock, little soil, and it is replaced by herbs, then shrubs and trees. So this is about the xerosphere. As I told you earlier, secondary succession always faster than the primary succession. Primary succession, it requires lot of time. The lichens has to be appeared, then their life cycle should be completed, then primary herbs, it takes lot of time. But secondary succession is fast when compared to the primary succession. Not asked so far about this. And coming to the last aspect, that is the nutrient cycling. So nutrients. So there are two types of cycles here, the gaseous cycles and sedimentary cycles. The gaseous cycles of the carbon and nitrogen, gaseous cycle, and the sedimentary cycles, phosphorus and sulfur. So carbon occurs in the atmosphere 0.03% only, 0.0 less percent, and nowadays abnormally increasing the percentage of carbon dioxide. However, 49% of carbon present in the human body, and 71% of about the carbon present in the oceans in the dissolved condition. And it is the biosphere which absorbs about 4 into 10 to the power of 13 kgs of carbon dioxide per annum. So far not asked, this is very important. 4 into 10 to the power of 13 kg of carbon dioxide absorbed by the producers for their photosynthesis, that is the carbon annual consumption. So, and then the only one way of absorbing carbon dioxide is photosynthesis. Next, the other ways to release carbon dioxide: respiration, decomposition from the industries, from the volcanic eruptions. Thus, the cycle will be repeated. That's about the carbon cycle. And coming to the phosphorus cycle, phosphorus present sedimentary cycle, not present in the gaseous form, and phosphorus present in both plants and animals in cell membranes and nucleic acids. Nucleic acid as orthophosphoric acid H3PO4. Phosphorus also present in the bones of the animals, and even the phosphate rocks in the soil. When the plants and animals die, leave the soil, and detritus will occupy this substances, cutting to pieces and converting it into solution by some bacteria, and withering of rocks also, because also withering of rocks also that also results in the soil. Raising of rocks also. Anyhow, the phosphorus which has reached the soil converted into solution formed by bacteria, and once again this solution is absorbed by the plants. Thus the cycle will be repeated. So products of ecosystem called ecosystem services. So it is valuable ecosystem services. Products are very advantageous. So Robert Costanza, a scientist, he estimated about ecosystem services are 33 trillions. That is ecosystem services in America. But even the GNP, the gross national productivity of America, is only 18 trillions. 18 trillions. But from the ecosystem services, 33 trillions can be obtained. And these ecosystem services, 50% used for soil formation and 10% for nutrient recycling and recreation, and 6% for the wildlife management and to monitor the climatic changes. So this is about the complete in detail the chapter 14, that is ecosystem structure and its function in detail. ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. These are all the important things. Please read well and try to be successful in the coming NEET examinations. It will be helpful for all the people, all the students who cater. This will cater to the needs of the people. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe for further lessons.